Alright guys, so I thought I'd bring you some news from across the pond. It looks like ever since the new Labour leader took over from Jeremy Corbyn, his name is Keir Starmer, it looks like the Labour Party seems to be catching up to the Conservative Party significantly. This is due to both the Conservative Party losing a lot of popularity because of coronavirus and the Labour Party gaining in credibility and popularity because of this new leader who seems much more authentic, principled, and has ideas that I think people can get behind more than Corbyn did. He seemed to be the bog standard kind of politician guy who, you know, just had some questionable views. Although I'm not going to act like I'm some expert on Corbyn, because I know the outline of his plan, but I don't know the in-depth details. And all I do know is that he released like a 300-page manifesto that nobody has ever like gone past the 10th page on. So that's basically what happened in 2019, and why they lost so significantly was because of Corbyn and just a horribly long manifesto that nobody even read, because of its like, I think it's intentional complexity that made it seem like, oh, we're doing the right thing because it's complex, but then people are like, what the fuck is this? Like, we don't understand what you're saying, which is not what you want. But yeah, things have started to still to look different. I'll put a poll on the screen for you guys to see. So yeah, so at some point the Conservative Party was polling at 50%. Now they're down to 38%, and at the same time, at the lowest point, so that was during the election when Labour basically just got embarrassed back in 2019. Once they changed their leaders, and now Keir Starmer's taking on a constructive opposition approach, which is essentially that he tries to support the government when they do something that he views as good, and opposes when he thinks it's bad, which is, I think, better, because not only does it make your opposition more valid, but it also enables the government in power to get things done. So listen, in the US you have this complete divide, except for when it's military industrial complex, then it's completely bipartisan. But anyway, on the whole, it's a complete divide, and there's no kind of middle ground. They don't even want to find a middle ground. But with Keir, it looks like the new approach is to help the government when they can, and I think this is a good thing, because often, like what happened in the U.S. now with the whole corona, like they've cried wolf too many times, and now nobody believes them anymore, because the media's been saying Trump's gonna ruin America after like the smallest thing, and then when he actually mishandles a crisis, nobody believes you anymore, guys. So well done to MSNBC and CNN and the whole gang for crying wolf for 3 years, and then when it's actually time to, like, when you genuinely do something bad, like horrible, mishandle something incredibly bad, nobody believes them anymore. But anyway, so I thought I wanted to talk about more about why the Conservatives are losing credibility at the moment. So obviously you had Bojo, who similarly to Trump tried to downplay this virus as much as possible until he himself got it and was described as very close to dying. So listen, this guy almost died, and there's this bit of infamous video that I want to play you guys. So here, take a look.
That I'm shaking hands continuously. I was at a hospital the other night where I think there were actually a few coronavirus patients, and I shook hands with everybody. You'll be pleased to know, and I continue to shake hands. And I think it's very important that people obviously can make up their own minds. I think that Matt has said that people must make up their own minds, but I think the scientific evidence is, well, I'll hand over to the experts. But our judgment is wash. Washing your hands is the crucial thing. Yes. Before you shake hands.
Right, so this guy, like, I think this was taken a week or two before he was sent to the hospital, and so this guy is talking about shaking people's hands, and I think they have coronavirus. So it's just funny that his ignorance led to his hospitalization, and I'm glad he didn't die. Don't get me wrong, I don't want anybody to die from this, but just the sheer incompetence and ignorance and acting like, oh, nothing's wrong. And I think this is I watched a Keir Starmer interview with LBC, and he talks about how Boris, in a way similarly to Trump, just once he's in office, he refuses to acknowledge anything he does has an issue. So whether it's his fault directly or not, whenever anything that happens while he's in office is somebody else's fault or not the government's fault. So now they want to open schools, but then now they're going to blame the teacher unions and all this useless kind of stuff. But yeah, I thought this was an interesting development. And of course, there's still 4 years till 2024 when the next UK general election is. So, I mean, the implications of the crisis at the moment will probably be much less relative. I mean, depending on the long-term effects of this crisis. But I don't expect it to be that bad. Although leaving the EU, which is horrible for them economically, especially in the short term, as well as a huge amount of spending done this year before, because they've been paying people 80% of their wages. It's looking kind of grim for the UK in the short term. And I think that's being reflected here by people kind of supporting the opposition a bit more. But I think this is also kind of due to the more pragmatic kind of approach of the opposition rather than the hard line, I oppose everything you do, whatever, regardless, which is kind of more of the previous setup. I think this is much better. Listen, I'm no expert on Keir Starmer either. I'd have to look at his concrete politics. But listen, I think Boja's just an inauthentic career politician who first wanted to vote who first was the big spokesperson for staying in the EU. Then the second that looked like, oh, maybe the pro Brexit movement has a bit of momentum. Now he's going to switch sides. Now he's going to go all out anti-EU. Then when he wins, when there's still like the transition period, he still votes to delay EU leaving the EU, and then he somehow becomes known as some charismatic, powerful, like Churchill-like man, the essence of an Englishman or whatever it is, and he gets viewed as some great charismatic leader. Even though he's the biggest flip-flop career politician I'm pretty sure I've ever known. Like, this guy literally just rolls with whatever people tell him. He has no actual ideas and principles. He just, he does whatever will get his ratings up, which is kind of similar to Trump as well. So listen, they're similar characters, and they both have similar. The crisis and the way they've handled it have both had similar effects on their popularity and the standing of their constituency. So, on top of this, there's also a graph of Euroscepticism, which apparently, this is according to the EU Parliament, so I don't know how reliable this is. But from as far as I know, they seem to be rather accurate in their reporting. Like in 2014, they did accurately say that there was a slight majority for people that were Eurosceptics, but now it's completely flipped, which is kind of surprising. And a separate poll says that now 49% would vote yes to stay, and 44% would vote to leave. So listen, interesting stuff happening. I doubt that there'll be another referendum. I think that would be bad, especially to have it so short, and they haven't even yet officially left the EU, even though they've signed the paper, but they're still in the transition period. So just a bunch of messy things going on in the UK across the pond. It's interesting to see what will happen, but it's not looking too bright for them. I think they lack serious leadership, and you can see that when Dominic Raab, who's like literally gone against his government's own guidelines, is protected like forever, like fucking like it's the end of the world if he goes away. Like, and now everybody's forgot about it, obviously, but like I don't know. There just seems to be a lack of authenticity and principles, which is what I look for in a leader and in a man in government, to have new ideas and to propel them and to believe in them. And it's only when you have those characteristics that you can be that I can class you as a good leader, at least. So interesting. I'll keep you guys updated, and of course it's a long way to 2024, and I doubt that this will have a huge impact on that, but just the the general momentum seems to be going in the Labour Party's way, but of course it's a long way. So we'll see what happens.